Call the meeting to order and ask our good friend Mr. Miller to lead us in the pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Beston. Bullock. Bergdorf. Chapman. Clay. Cunningham. Camiso. Kraus. Cunningham. Dawson. Demolowitz. Drake. Duncan. Ethier. Feeney. Fine. Graham. Higgins. Hogan. A. Joyce. R. Joyce. Dukakis. Lockhart. Mariello. Mayo. McKnight. McLean Lane. Mendick. Miller. O'Brien. Reinhardt. Signarachi. Simpson. Smith. Stevens. Touche. Tunney. Ward. Willingham. And Bullock.
Thank you.
We have 39 present.
Yes.
I'd like to note that an additional sponsor has been filed with the clerk. Ms. McKnight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask if you make a motion to move Form 252 resolution for affirmative action director, sir.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All those in favor, I'm sorry, unless the clerk can read resolution 252.
Confirming the appointment of the Director of Affirmative Action.
All those in favor of resolution 252 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Sounds very unanimous. Congratulations, Tyrone White. Under previous business, resolution 407.
Public hearing on proposed local law number P for 2016.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes 505.
Resolution number 505 for 2016, authorizing an agreement with the Village of Wardsville regarding safety enhancements to railroad crossings on county roads.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Joyce with the word.
Surprise and explain why I vote no on 505. Set a bit of a strange irregular precedent in Albany County to establish a up to $400,000 quiet zone at a railroad crossing. If we do it for Voorheesville, I mean, we have to set a precedent where we're doing it for every other municipality where there's a railroad crossing. So we want to explain why we want to mention that.
Thank you. On roll call, please.
Beston.
Favor?
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Aye.
Chapman. Clay.
Yeah.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Camiso. Kraus.
Yes.
Cunningham. Dawson. Demolowitz.
No.
Drake.
Yes.
Duncan.
Yes.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
No.
Graham.
Yes.
Higgins.
No.
Hogan.
Yes.
A. Joyce.
No.
R. Joyce.
No.
Dukakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Mariello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
No.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Signarachi.
No.
Simpson.
No.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
Yes.
Tunney.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Willingham.
Yes.
13 no, 26 yes.
Motion passes, resolution passes. Thank you. Resolution 156.
Public hearing on proposed local law number D for 2017.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Resolution passes. Under current business, resolution 260.
Amending resolution 478 for 2014 as amended regarding a contract with Synthesis Architects regarding renovations to the walkway at the Times Union Center.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 217, please.
Authorizing an agreement with New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding gun-involved violence elimination grant and amending the 2017 probation department budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes.
Authorizing an agreement with Tracy Road Equipment regarding the purchase of a tandem dump truck.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 219.
Authorizing an agreement with Moreau Tractor and Implement Company, Inc. regarding the purchase of a wheel loader.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 220.
Authorizing an agreement with Atlantic Pavement Marking, Inc. regarding the stripping of county highways.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 221.
Amending the 2017 Department of Public Works budget, specialty equipment.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Resolution passes. 222.
Authorizing an agreement with Trouse, Inc. regarding the purchase of a boom mower and right flail.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Resolution passes. 223.
Authorizing an agreement with Webster Ford, Inc. regarding the purchase of hybrid vehicles for the Department of General Services.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 224, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation regarding the Albany Shaker Road and Del Sandro Boulevard resurfacing project in the town of Colony.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 225, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Titan Roofing, Inc. regarding roofing services for the Cornell Cooperative Extension Building Project.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 226.
Authorizing an agreement with Betty and Green LLC regarding the County Route 10 over the Little Scantahary Creek Bridge replacement project in the town of Bern.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 227.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Department of Health regarding reimbursement for administrative costs pertaining to the Children with Special Health Care Needs program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 228.
Authorizing agreements regarding transportation of children with special needs to education and therapy programs.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 229.
Amending the 2017 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget, suicide prevention funding.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 230.
Authorizing agreements with the New York State Office of Temporary Disability Assistance and Interfaith Partnership for the Homeless and amending the 2017 Department of Social Services budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 231.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application regarding a process and technology improvement grant to improve customer service for SNAP applicants recipients.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 232.
Authorizing an agreement with Guardian Consulting Services regarding pharmacy consulting services at the nursing home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 233.
Authorizing the renewal of an agreement with ChemRx Pharmacy Services regarding pharmacy services for the nursing home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 234.
Authorizing an agreement with Stanley Convergent Security Solutions for a service plan regarding installed security equipment at the nursing home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 235.
Authorizing an agreement with National Grid regarding high-efficiency plumbing installations at the nursing home.
All those in favor? Mr. Joyce? Abstain. I hate that already. Mr. Joyce abstains. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 236, please.
Adopting the proposed modifications to the Albany County Agricultural District numbers 1 and 3.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 133, 237, sorry.
Authorizing an agreement with the State University of New York at Albany School of Public Health regarding student internships.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 238, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension to provide training courses for lead-based paint remediation certification.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution passes. 239.
Authorizing an agreement with Health Research, Inc. regarding the Expanded Partner Services Program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 240.
Approving the bylaws for the Community Services Board.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 241.
Authorizing an agreement with Ellis Hospital regarding morgue and laboratory services.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 242, please.
Amending the 2017 Albany County Sheriff's Office budget, defibrillator and AED project.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 243.
Authorizing agreements regarding the lease of 5 defibrillators for the participating towns in the Advanced Life Support Program.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Resolution passes. 244.
Authorizing an agreement with CFG Medical Services regarding medical care at the correctional facility.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 245, please.
Authorizing the submission of grant applications and agreements with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the alternatives to incarceration and defender-based advocacy program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 246.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Ignition Interlock Device Joint Enforcement Pilot Program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 247.
Approving the Department of Public Works collective bargaining agreement with CSEA Local 801 Department of Public Works Unit and amending the 2017 Albany County budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 248.
Approving the collective bargaining agreement with CSEA Local 801 Social Services, Children, Youth, and Families Aging Unit and amending the 2017 Albany County budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 249.
Approving the Department of Health collective bargaining agreement with CSEA Local 801 Department of Health Unit and amending the 2017 Health Department budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 250, please.
Authorizing the Department for Children, Youth, and Families to consider out-of-county applicants for the positions of special education, itinerant teacher, and speech pathologist.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 251.
Confirming the appointment of a member to the Albany County Airport Authority.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 252.
We did that.
I'm sorry.
Pass.
253, please.
Appointment of members to the Community Services Board and subcommittees.
We just want to make sure you guys are on your toes. All those in favor of 253?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 254.
Amending the 2017 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget, administrative adjustments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 255.
Amending the 2017 Department for Health budget, administrative adjustments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 256.
Amending the 2017 Department of Water Purification District budget, administrative adjustments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 257.
Accepting grant funding from NYSERDA and authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Saratoga County and an agreement with Arcadis of New York regarding engineering and consulting services for a regional bisolid handling facility.
Please note Mr. Stevens' abstention. Mr. Higgins?
You just have it, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, me too.
Anybody not want to be on it? Everybody want to? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Resolution passes. Sorry, 258, please.
Amending the 2017 Department of Residential Health and Care Facilities budget, administrative adjustments.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. 259.
Amending resolution number 149 of 2017 regarding the conveyance of various county-owned parcels of real property to the Albany Water Board.
All those in favor? Aye. Mr. Clay? Yes, sir. Mr. Clay abstains. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 260.
Authorizing the conveyance of various parcels of real property located in the city of Albany, Cohoes, and Waterville, in towns of Bern, Queens, Colony, Guilderland, Knox, Bristol, Virgo, to the Albany County Land Bank Corporation.
I'd like to send that to Audit and Finance, please. 261.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at Gulf Road in the town of Rensselaer, Virgo.
All those in favor of Resolution 261?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. 262.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 8A Warmington Street in the town of Colony.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 263.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 25A Alden Street in the town of Colony.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 264.
Authorizing corrections on the tax bill for the city of Albany.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 265.
Requesting the New York State Legislature to enact an amendment to the tax law to authorize Albany County to continue the 1% sales and use taxes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. 266.
Amending Rule 2 of the Albany County Legislative Rules of Order.
If we refer that to the War Committee, please. 267.
Amending the Albany County Legislative Rules of Order in relation to public forum.
We'll also refer that to the War Committee. Under local law B.
Local law number B for 2017. A local law of the County of Albany, New York, creating a limited exemption from real property taxes for qualified conservation easement exemption agreements within the town of Bethlehem.
I wish to respectfully challenge the decision of the chair to send that back to committee.
I'd like to make the decision first, Mr. like to
Sorry,
refer
sorry.
it to
My
the Audit and
enthusiasm
Finance
got ahead of
Committee,
me.
and I'll accept your challenge.
May I please be added to that?
Pardon?
May I please be added to that?
To the conservation easement?
Yes.
Okay. And McLean Lane.
Motion to suspend the chair.
Second motion.
Wait a minute.
Well, Mr. Mendick,
I'd like to second
That's what I thought.
Reinhardt's motion, please.
thank you. Mr. Jamalowitz, would you like to sustain the chair? Do we have a second to sustain the chair? Well, we'll have a roll call vote on the challenge.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir.
When we have a challenge to the chair, that is a motion that is debatable, and it is required by Robert's Rules of Order to provide the opportunity for legislators to speak on the issue.
I didn't hear anybody say they wanted to speak on the issue. I see that now. Mr. Reinhardt, would you like to speak on the issue?
Well, yes, I would.
Yes, sir.
My enthusiasm got ahead of me before, so I was kind of holding back.
Everybody's jumping the gun tonight, so.
So what I'd like to say, first of all, I guess I would like to just say, look, to all of you here, lightning hit my house. I had a house fire that was pretty much destroyed my house on May 18th and 19th. So I've been a little remiss in responding to all of my emails and some of the other requests. So Ralph Sigarachi, I want to apologize for not sending you the survey information before. I have sent it out to everybody now along with other information. I sent it out today, and it explained basically all of the questions that have been raised in committee, as well as others that were raised at caucus. And I'd like to summarize by saying this. The fiscal impact is negligible, basically zero beyond the town of Bethlehem, within the town of Bethlehem. The largest impact on the small parcel homeowners would be about $1 a year if you're the average size homes, which is valued at $260,000. So the fiscal impact is very small. The survey information, which you have now, all of you have gotten in an email today, does point out that a majority of residents who filled out the survey in response to a question which was the following.
Mr. Chairman, clarification.
Yes, Mr. Jamal.
I thought the motion was on whether or not we're voting on this first. This is not on the actual resolution.
I was giving Mr. Reinhardt a little leeway, but you're correct.
Okay, thank you.
Then, Mr. Reinhardt, we are supposed to be debating the issue of why it's going back to committee or not.
All right, well, I'll simply say, we all have the information that's been generated through this process. It's taken several months to get to this point. I would hope that people have had time to review everything and that we can move forward. I know that everybody in Bethlehem and elsewhere are interested in the outcome of this. We think we have something that will work in Bethlehem and can work across the county. So I'd rather that we try to move forward with it and not go back to committee.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Reinhardt. Mr. Mendick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that actually what we are debating is whether it goes back to committee or not.
That's correct.
And I think we have the opportunity to talk about that. There's really two issues here. First and foremost, this is a home rule issue. Whether it affects...
Well, I don't think technically it is a home rule.
Well, it is...
It may be similar to a home rule, but it is not a home rule.
I stand corrected. It is similar to a home rule. It has zero impact on Albany County. If we are going to get $12 million from the town of Bethlehem, I just threw that out as a number, for property tax revenues, we will continue to get $12 million of tax revenue. So it doesn't have any impact on the county. All that it really says is that we acknowledge the program, and it is up to the town to administer the program in whatever way they see fit. So the questions about whether it's fire districts or school districts or what is not germane to Albany County legislative business. Okay? It's got zero impact on Albany County's legislative business. Okay? It's more an administrative procedure that we have to go through. Therefore, it has, I believe, in my mind, no basis to go back to committee. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Jamalowitz,
Thank you, Mr.
you're going to
Chairman.
let me know why you think it should.
Absolutely. And I'll be brief.
The simple fact is, even the speaker here tonight, we get conflicts on fire districts. From what Mr. Miller has talked about when he was talking with the town supervisor. I don't know if it doesn't have a kind of effect. It's going to have an effect all over the county. I'd like to ask the controller that, which I'll call tomorrow and get his opinion for the next finance meeting. We'll look at it at the finance meeting and we'll just act on it at that time. 30 days, is it going to make a difference? It'll make a big difference to me and my constituents if it's going to affect them in their tax bill anyway. And I want to know. It's as simple as that. And I feel for Mr. Reinhardt and the fire and he had his family and couldn't make the caucus finance committee a month before. But I have some concerns about the answers I'm getting because they're conflicts. So what I'd like to do is 30 days, please come to the finance committee and we'll get an opinion from the controller. I'd like to get an opinion from the county attorney and our attorney and move forward at that point in the finance committee. 30 days isn't going to make this go away or kill or anything. At least we'll have a clear distinction of how this is going to affect the county taxpayers. I don't know about the fire districts, I don't know about the school districts, but I'm concerned about the Albany County taxpayers. And that's, I hope that we send it back to the committee, take a look at it, and we'll vote on it next month.
I see Mrs. Cunningham. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Apologize.
I
It's gonna call you doctor.
am rising to support my colleague and his request that we act on this measure tonight for a couple of reasons. One is this has been moving along through the process. We had a public hearing where we heard from quite a few residents of the town of Bethlehem. I think it was near unanimous in terms of their strong support for this. This measure has been worked on in the town of Bethlehem for at least a couple of years now. It's gone before the Bethlehem School District twice. I'm a current Bethlehem School District board member, and I will tell you, we had public sessions and invited Bethlehem community members to come in. Again, we had unanimous Bethlehem resident support for coming in and a very vigorous discussion. The first time it appeared before the school district, the school board members were in strong support. There was a technical change they requested, which occurred, and it came back to the school district, I don't know, 6 months later. It was again a public hearing. We had members of the community come before the school district, before the board, and talk about it and show strong support, unanimous support for it. It's been considered in the town board. We've had public hearings at the town board level. We've had a big public discussion.
Ms. Cunningham, the debate here, okay, go
I'm
ahead.
almost done. So I guess my point is, Mr. Chairman, that with all due respect, it seems like we're sort of stalling here, and I can't quite figure out why. It's not quite a home rule provision, but it certainly sort of walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and kind of is a duck in that respect. I would respectfully ask my colleagues that we've gone through the process, we've had this vetted, it's been discussed and debated, honestly, much more than many other provisions that have no fiscal effect, or that do have a fiscal effect on the county's finances. So I'm not quite sure why, but representing the town of Bethlehem and all of the Bethlehem constituents who are in strong support of this provision, which is just one tool that a municipality can use to temper growth in its community. I would respectfully ask my colleagues to honor our request and move this along, and let's vote on it tonight. Thank you so much, Mr.
You're
Chair.
welcome. I just want to remind everybody, we're talking about whether or not this should go back to the committee. This is not a debate on the issue, all right? The other night, I was in attendance at a caucus where several members had a lot of questions, and they unanimously asked me to send this back to committee. And that's the reason why I was sending it back to committee. It was unanimous.
Who's the first?
I was at the caucus.
There was questions, well, nobody said no. Nobody questioned. There was questions that weren't answered, and the consensus was that we were gonna send this back until we got those answers. That's where we're at. Mr. Simpson, is it relative to the question of whether or not it should go back to the committee?
Yeah, I just need a point of clarification. What's the worst thing that could happen if this doesn't pass? Mr. Reinhardt?
If what doesn't pass?
If we don't pass this, what's the worst thing that can happen?
They won't get the
Are you
exemption.
referring to the opt-in?
Yes.
Or the motion before?
No, the actual original motion.
Mr. Simpson, I'd like to clarify. Are you asking if the entire bill doesn't?
Yes, yes.
Or if the motion is sent to the committee doesn't pass?
The former. If the bill doesn't pass.
If the bill doesn't pass, I assume the exemption would not be.
But I want to know if that happens, what's the worst thing that can happen? That's what I want to
The
know.
county portion wouldn't apply, right?
But what does that mean in real terms? That's what I want to know.
Are you asking if anything happened and we send it back to committee?
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer his
If we don't
question.
ultimately pass it, what is the worst thing that could happen?
The residents that are eligible wouldn't receive the exemption, simple as that.
And how-
May I answer the question and use it?
Mr. Simpson has the floor, Mr. Reinhardt. I'll address the second.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll take two examples. Somebody who lives, a large property owner who is in the Bethlehem School District territory. If they move forward and go through the review process with the Conservation Easement Review Board, the citizens of Bethlehem who review it, if he gets the exemption, if we do not pass the law here for the county, he will be seeing his town property taxes go down, he will be seeing his school property taxes go down, and his county taxes will not go down. If you are a large property owner in North Bethlehem, let's say, and the Gilderman School District does not opt in, then what would happen there is your town property taxes would be reduced, but your school property taxes would not. And again, if the county, at this point, and if the county did not pass, then the county taxes would also not be reduced. So the benefit to the large landowner, there will be a benefit for any large landowner anywhere in the town of Bethlehem. However, depending on the opting in or out by the other jurisdictions, that benefit is reduced. And the trade-off there is that the incentive for the large property owners to preserve that land goes down if the other jurisdictions do not opt in. So really what we're talking about here, to try to answer your question with two different examples, is depending on what part of town you're in, there will always be an exemption, a benefit for the large property owner, but if you get buy-in by all the jurisdictions that are relevant here, you will have a larger benefit, so the purposes of the program to preserve open space will be more robust and more effective. And regardless of whether the county opts in or not, or a school district opts in or not, the impact on one's property taxes as a small parcel owner will be very, very minor. We're talking about $1 a year for the average home in any jurisdiction.
All right, Mr. Dawson, on the
And one more thing to answer my colleague. If it doesn't pass, the population is going to explode in Bethlehem. There's going to be even more of us in this legislative body.
I just changed my vote. All right, are we ready? Mr.
Mr.
Clennahan?
DeMolo is the co-sponsor of this legislation.
Actually, Mr.
That was a
Chairman,
good
I
one.
asked the council to take my name off.
Mr. Clennahan?
I will just say very briefly, I plan to support the chair. I have no issue with sending this back to committee to clarify these questions, but I do want to be honest. Barring some information that's dramatically different from what I've heard, I have every intention of supporting this local law when it comes to a full vote. I don't mind clarifying these final full questions for everyone's edification, but I agree with the arguments that this is essentially a home rule and should be determined by Bethlehem, and I plan on supporting
That's fine. Thank you. Mr. Ethier?
Yes, I don't know why it has to go back. I hate to go against the chair, like, you don't do that. But something like this, all information we received from the elected officials there, people come here today, I cannot see why it has to go back to get for more information. I hope it's for more information. I hope it ain't for political reasons, maybe there's something going on.
Mr. Ethier.
About that stuff,
Okay.
I don't know. I know you would do something like that.
Mr. Ethier, this was not this was the caucus told me
That wakes me up.
without reservation. Were you at caucus?
No, I was not at caucus, I was not at caucus, I found it more enjoyable going to see my two twins.
I don't disagree with
Rather than
you.
listen to our caucus, it now makes me think even more that smells power. So with that being said, I can't go on, I get one vote.
I think anybody that knows me tells me,
We're not.
I'll tell you, I get a little bit anxious.
Well, don't jump the gun. I'm not saying you. I'm talking about our caucus. When we get into these discussions about it. Our discussions seem to go out left field somewhere, right field and center field. It's nothing to do with you personally, but I see when we have a big debate in caucus, and when all the information says we should do this, now we're going for longer for another month, this doesn't mean nothing. We're holding up government. And I don't care if you like that or not.
Mr.
That's how I
Ethier,
feel. I'm not talking about
I think if you're paying attention to me, I get a little anxious when legislation stays in committee for too long. I like to vote on things, but I want to make sure
Well, I'm glad
that
you
all
feel
the
that.
questions are answered before we do it.
Well, I agree with you. I also feel as though we're coming to a law tonight and hanging around for 12 to 14 months.
I would have voted on that last
Well, why
February.
do we bring it out then? So that's the end of my
Thank you.
discussion.
Mr. Camiso.
Yes, a member of the caucus did request a survey that we had been told numerous times had been completed. We finally got that survey as I was walking into this meeting. And as I was doing so, we discovered that it was a survey from 2004. It's kind of stale as far as I'm concerned.
So you're saying they're lying to us?
Hey, we were told they had it done recently. That isn't recently.
Well, with circumstances like that, maybe we should send it back for another.
Well,
If they're lying about something, that's one thing. Our majority found out that there's something wrong with this man. Is that what you found out, Frank? There's something wrong with it?
That's what I found out.
I think we're ready to take a long roll call. All right, here's the vote. I woke you up, didn't I? We had a motion to overrule the chair's decision to send this to committee. So, if you vote yes, you're voting to overrule the chair. If you vote no, you're voting not to overrule the chair's decision to send it to committee. Yes is overrule, no is not to overrule, and it will go back to committee. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Good?
Yes.
All right, very good. One roll call, please.
Besson.
No.
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes, respectfully.
Chapman. Chapman. Clay.
No.
Clennahan.
No.
Camiso.
No.
Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson. Tomalowitz.
No.
Drake.
No.
Duncan.
Yes.
Ethier.
True, yes, sir.
What is that?
Feeney.
No.
Fine.
No.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Hogan.
No.
A. Joyce.
Yes.
R. Joyce.
No.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Mariello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
What do you mean? Decisions over there.
No. Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Signarachi.
No.
Simpson.
9.
Is that yes or no?
No.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
No.
Tony.
No.
Ward. Willingham.
No.
I have 23 no, 16 yes.
That is correct.
The local law goes to committee. Thank you. Audit and Finance, clerk. Local law number C for 2017.
A local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending the Albany County Charter to prohibit the hiring of former elected officials or their family members.
Mr. Mayo.
Thank you. Back to follow, I think. I'd like to say that this resolution was introduced about a year and a half ago, and that was before the press got involved in the latest news stories. I didn't introduce this to embarrass anyone for political gain or to harm anyone, help anyone politically. It was also introduced initially to only include legislators, no other elected officials. It went to the county attorney, he expanded it and said it had to include all elected officials. And the reason why I introduce this is because I believe we have a defect in the way we do our business. And that is you can run in an election or a primary, or not run at all, and still, you can lose and still vote on the budget in November and December. You can put a line item in for yourself, a family member, and I think it's wrong. That's an inherent conflict of interest and misuse of office. I think it undermines the public trust. And it's also bad for morale of the county workforce. If you take someone who's been in a position for 20 or 25 years and all of a sudden the head of the department retires, everyone thinks they're going to move up the totem pole, and someone who maybe the department might consider a political hack comes in and takes over. It could be perceived that way, and I think there'd be a lot of resentment there. Two things I do want to say. It does not affect civil service employment, and it's not retroactive. Anyone who has a family member in now, there's nothing detrimental will happen. I think there are two arguments against this resolution. The first is, this is how it's always been done. This is how the business has always been done. And I think the other argument is only a family member of a legislator or an elected official somehow has the intelligence to be able to do a certain job. They have a certain DNA profile that allows them to do a better job than the other 300,000 people in this county. And frankly, I think it's laughable, I think it's arrogant, and I don't think it should be allowed. On the other hand, and I'm not backing off this, but I read the statements by Mr. Clay, by Mr. Grimm in the newspaper, and I was at caucus last week. And people actually can keep a straight face and say that's how business should be, that family members should be hired, and even though 100% of the public does not support this. So, on reflection, I was thinking about it, and I think maybe I have a compromise in order. And that is, we can make an exception. Let's say that Sean Ward had a son who was the top biologist in the state.
So he's second or third.
He's second.
He's near the top.
He wants to work for the county. Someone else said they had a relative who wanted a job no one applied for, nobody wanted. They could come before the legislature monthly, or whenever there was an exception, could be brought up before the legislature, come in, interview, see what's what. We could vote on it that way. It would be transparent, and I think that would be a good compromise. Maybe we could get this passed. I guess just in closing, the public hates nepotism. They hate no-show jobs. There's no question about it. If this went out to a vote to the public, I think it would be close to 100% of people would support this. And we always talk about what our constituents want. This is something they would like to see, I think. It was said by a wise old legislator the other day in caucus that if it went out to a vote to do away with taxes, they would do away with taxes. They would vote to do away with taxes. And that might be true, but there would be grim results for a lot of people if we voted away any tax. On this, what's the harm? If a family member of some elected official didn't get a job, what's the harm? Would anybody even know? I don't think so. So that's what I have to say. I would ask for a long roll call on this, and I would like rebuttal just at the end if anyone.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify, I didn't know if you were making an amendment?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying, starting next month, if this resolution passes starting next month, it's something I think we could set up, and we could do exceptions on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah, I just would like to, I guess, say as a sort of point of information clarification, the real issue is a misunderstanding between the classified and unclassified service. The example that was just given would most likely be in the classified service, the civil service position. So, and I don't think anybody objects to somebody who on a merit basis, through whatever selection process is offered, demonstrates that they're among the best candidates to be appointed. But if we're talking about something that's an appointed position, especially at a high level, I think that does raise concerns. And I think we see in Washington the worst case scenario of what that looks like.
I don't disagree that there are some bad cases, but I think we're making a blanket statement that would preclude, and also it would preclude some probably good people, qualified people from ever serving in county office. Mr. McClain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I stand in support of this resolution. I am a co-sponsor of it. I was very pleased when I saw my colleague, Mr. Mayo, file it January of 2016. I believe it was right around there. Sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of a head cold here. We did have an issue happen which created significant mistrust from the public in us. And public trust is enormously important, whether it's perceived or real issues.
I think we all do.
I think we all do. And what had happened was there were legislators that were getting jobs, voted on those jobs, and there were also raises at that time as well to those various elected officials. And I am not saying that that was intended. What I'm saying is that the public trust was shaken at that time because of the perception. And I think that we owe a duty to our constituents, and mine are all gainfully employed, my relatives, so, but regardless of that, I would be excluding myself from employment with the county, and to maintain public trust, I'm willing to do that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Clay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although I have the utmost respect for Dave, and please understand that when I looked at the resolution, and I also asked the same question of our distinguished civil rights attorney that spoke, Mark. And I said to him, aren't we perpetrating another form of discrimination? And he said, well, you know, in one respect, you're right. I am not supportive of anything that discriminates against people. I am opposed to cronyism. I'm opposed to any of those kinds of things, but I am not supporting any kind of a bill that discriminates against people, and relative or not. For example, if I had a grandson that perhaps was the most qualified person for a position in county government, because his or her name happened to be Clay, why should they be discriminated against? Now, what I have said is that I would be supportive of the legislation, that was rewritten and went back to the drawing board, and Dave already said that there are some corrections that he would like to propose. But as it is currently written, I'm opposed to it, because all we're doing is discriminating against a class of people on the basis of their last name or their surname. So I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eater.
Thank you, Sean. I got mixed feelings with that. I'm against the division, and for several reasons. First of all, I've been here 38 years. I never see anybody walk in that door and complain about any of our legislators whose family member got hired. Never heard that at all. I've never heard about it in my district or in the whole county, where they singled out any legislator's family member for being hired for years. What I did hear out there, and that was not that much, just a few gossip talk, and she hit her nail on the head on how we did there, about legislators putting jobs in the budget for themselves, or department heads create positions that never existed. That's stuff that's wrong, and that's going on, it should be stopped. But a clear brush, like Bill says here, discriminating against all legislators' family members, and our family members aren't involved in what she's talking about, or what he's talking about. I don't believe, I could be 100% wrong. So I have to take the position all these years. First of all, I got a son that works, he did the civil service, went the whole 9 yards. And thank you, Dave, for not including somebody like that. Not that we need it, but thank you.
I didn't name names.
Well, you ain't got it. I always speak the way I feel. And I also know there's legislators in here who ask for favors, for jobs, friends, family members. I won't mention their names either, Dave. But putting all that aside, why a family member should be discriminated against a porter's job or that job, or minimum jobs for under 30,000, 35, our family members, why should we be discriminated against? They're our family members. I can see me not one, if I leave the legislature, I should put a bill in there to say, oh, did Bill Ether supervisor inspection for $75,000. That's wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. The public is 100% right.
I think our ethics law.
Well, plus our ethics law covers all this stuff.
Not all of it, but it covers that.
Well, it covers quite a bit of it. But back to I've always taken the position, since I've been elected, I've had hundreds of phone calls from parents, students, use my name as a reference for a job somewhere, and I give it to them willingly, as long as I know them, they'd be an asset to where they're going to go. And under no circumstances am I going to sit there and be a hypocrite and tell you they're my family members, which I certainly would. And any of us that wouldn't do that is crazy. And if you vote for something like that because you think the public's worried about that, I don't believe the public's worried about that at all. They're worrying about me as a department head creating a $120,000 a year job and give it to my niece or my cousin or my best friend. That raises eyebrows. For the everyday legislators, family might get hired in minimal jobs that you got to go and work for and get big dishes for. I don't believe that's on the public's mind at all. And for that, I'll be opposed to this. Because this is fake resolution. Quote Mr. Trump. What's fake about it, the original intent behind this was not the legislators. It had to do when our chairman was leaving the legislature for some fictitious thing. They're making a deal for him to get a job. Well, that fell true. And that should have been taken out back then. I can't speak why all his reasons were, but that's how I feel about the whole thing. So it's not, and here 16 months later, we're bringing this up now. Why wasn't this discussed back when this was put in there back then? 16 months later, it's not worth it.
Thank you.
So with that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Burko.
I've mixed emotions about tonight. And you know, we all watch the national scene, and there are legal cliches that come out, and people talk about sometimes perfection is the enemy of good. Well, I think most of us don't believe in nepotism. Most of us probably would not want to stand up in public and say, hey, I made a call to Commissioner so-and-so and got my son or my daughter or my niece or my nephew a job. Because that's the way it does happen. I'm glad that the civil service element is out of this, so that if somebody takes a test and gets 100 or a 95 and they're reachable on a list, that they can participate. But I believe there has to be some level of control. And now I'm going to turn 180 degrees. I personally don't like what was done to county legislators, because I was associated with a guy by the name of Mike Hoblock when he became Albany County Executive. And the guy had a foreman administration. And there were Republicans in the county legislature, and if it was the equivalent of Richard Mendick, who had worked for 8 years on audit and finance, and he wanted to have that person as budget director of the county, I think he should have had every right to have that person. And that public officials, to a certain degree, sink and swim upon their own appointments. But I am hopeful. I've talked to Dave, and I think he kind of understands at least where I'm coming from. I saw Mark said some things in the paper about transparency, about, you know, there are probably ways to do this where we can prevent those who have no problem with calling up and trying to get a family member or this on a payroll, and we won't be reading as many stories about people who have large amounts of people, family members on the payroll. We can do that, but I'd like to see that be addressed as phase 2. But I'm not going to vote against this, because perfection is the enemy of good. And starting with the nepotism portion of this, with family members, I think it's a good place to start, and we can bring it back from there. So I'll be voting for it.
Mrs. Cox.
I'd like to also support this proposal for a couple of reasons. And Mr. Clay, I hear what you're saying about, you know, discriminating against people. And it occurred to me when we were in caucus that I didn't really even think about how it perpetuates the underrepresented, it puts down the underrepresented groups that are in our group. We happen to be a group of similar sort of educated people at a certain level. We're mostly white, you know, and by us, if we have cronyism and we have nepotism, it just perpetuates that, and it makes it even harder for people who are not in the largest represented group to participate. And I think that's like another reason why I like the idea of this bill. And also, I think of it as a leveling the playing field. And if the playing field was really equal and everybody had equal access to these sorts of opportunities, I would feel better about the whole thing. So therefore, I think if people and families don't have the opportunity to get into these opportunities, that's like also already disingenuous toward people who, I'm not making any sense. It doesn't seem fair to me. So that's why I'm gonna vote yes, because I think it does level the playing field and gives everybody an equal opportunity. And it, just as a side, I don't really like the whole appointment kind of thing anyway. I think a fair, open, clear process in which everybody, like the CSEA process, like all the unions, those are processes that I can stand behind because they're fair. You know, you have to take a test, you have to, you know, you have an application process. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Mr. Fine.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's a very difficult vote, because I do like the spirit of the local law. I think I don't agree with nepotism and people favoring out giving jobs to family members and all of that. But at the same time, I have some issues with it. I think, you know, it isn't really fair, especially the part about, you know, former elected official can't go work for county government. I know if you look at the state or the federal government, it's very common that you'll find state assembly members, state senators, Congress people who go to work, you know, in state government or in federal government. I think President Obama picked Congress people to be in his administration. So I think, we as legislators, for example, have a lot of experience and, relevant experience. So if we wanted to work, if we, stepped down as legislator, lost an election, wanted to work as a, work for the county, I don't think that's a bad thing as long as we're qualified for the position. So I think, I like what you said, Mr. Mayo, about making an exemption for it. I would support the bill if it were done in a different way so that it didn't make a complete ban on people, on elected officials and family members serving in county government, because I think we need to have a fair process where people who are qualified have the ability. But I think we do want to have transparency. We do want to ensure that only qualified people are getting those positions, and we're not just handing out positions to people who are not qualified. So I understand why you proposed the bill. I like the spirit of the bill, and I'm going to vote no on it. And if it is reworked in a way that would be more fair, I would support it. Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner.
Yes, I listened to the pros and cons relating to this matter, and it only brings me back to local law B from 2008, which was the ethics bill. And I don't think that anybody could deny that when that body passed the ethics bill, it was probably one of the strongest pieces of legislation this body has ever passed. Not only was it the strongest piece, but I believe it's one of the stronger pieces of legislation passed by a legislative body that has teeth in it. It's strong. And a lot of the things I'm hearing here tonight are in that piece of legislation. Thank the gentleman who has since left us for being so adamant to get this passed. And when I say it has teeth, it has fines, I believe, of $2,500 for the offense. It has removal as an elected. And I think we're going into areas where I don't know if it's constitutional or not to take and deny someone because he's related to this gentleman, or to this gentleman, or to myself, deny that person a job, especially when they're qualified. And in most cases, I have to say, we look at different individuals who go through this process, and it was mentioned, we should take and screen the people here in the legislature. Well, guess what? Our laws here in the county, our charter, I think gives that authority to the department heads and gives that authority to the county executive. And I don't think it's our job to go so far as to start to micromanage those people when making a decision. I can't tell you that a plumber is qualified to do such and such job. It's up to the department head. Let he or she look at that individual and make that decision. But local law B for 2008, which was adopted in December of 2011, has teeth in it. I think we're looking to take what we already have in place and break it down. That's not the answer. The answer is we have a piece of legislation. We have a board that's second to none. We looked long and hard. Many people didn't want to serve on it because it was so strong, our ethics bill. So we finally have a body in place. I don't know what we're trying to do here. Maybe the complaint should have went to the Ethics Commission and say, here's the situation we have, let's take a good hard look at it. I don't know what we're looking to do here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to speak on this issue, but I did work with Mr. Mayor to help him write this local law, which is before the body today. And I'm going to keep my comments pretty short and pretty sweet. Hopefully it'll convey my opinion about the issue. You know, with politicians these days, talk is pretty cheap. That's the reality. And you hear a lot of federal level, state level, local level, about the tough decisions we have to make on this issue or that issue, whether it's nepotism, budget. You know, I really do believe, and I've fashioned the last 10 years of my public service, in results. Getting results for people, not just talking to talk, rhetoric. It's part of my campaign now. And I do believe that actions speak louder than words. I think if you want to send a message about ethics and nepotism, and who should get a job in county government, whether they're qualified or not, that you should support this local law. So I'm going to be voting yes, and I'm going to go out, I'm going to tell folks that I'm not going to get any of my relatives hired, that I believe that none of my relatives or family members should go and work for the county while I'm serving here, whereas the bill says 4 years after I'm well gone. So I'll be voting yes.
Thank you. Mr. Bowen.
I'd like to go on as a co-sponsor of this local law. I think this is not a question of merit and fitness. It's not a question of discrimination. It's a question of favoritism. And I think I voted for the ethics law. I thought it was very good, very strong. It hasn't stopped the kinds of practices that are going on in the county right now. So no matter how strong that is, maybe this should have been sent to the Ethics Commission. It wasn't. I think we ought to take a stand and do what's right, and that's to eliminate favoritism in county government.
Mr. Sigarachi.
I'll be voting against this. I know how this originated, and I do have a question because this was aimed at one person only, and for anybody to say that it was done differently, I think is a farce, or they're just untruthful. But one question I do have, because I know that there was innuendo and speculation that one individual was doing something to get a job at the county, and kind of got everybody in a little bit of a tizzy. But there's also another thing that's out on the street, that you have legislator A that's running for office, and whether or not that legislator A gets elected, that their spouse could wind up taking their spot. This would also preclude legislator A's spouse from coming in to take that seat as well, because we would be voting on that as to fill the term. So there's speculation that's out there, so that would eliminate that if this is passed, if that's the case. And so that's one of those situations. But as far as this goes, this was aimed at one person, and that was through innuendo. Tell me I'm wrong, and I'll say that you're lying. Just like that, you can wind up saying that the innuendo about the spouse running for office is going to have the husband as a replacement. That could be innuendo.
Are you talking about me?
No.
Let's not get personal here. Please.
Guilty conscience of what? But
stick to the issue.
Rumor and innuendo.
Mr. EQ.
I
just want to remind you.
One thing, Mr. Ethier, you can actually hire your niece if you're a commissioner, the way that this bill is, because the nieces and nephews are excluded. So you can hire your niece for $120,000.
Well, first of all, you gotta get in that position to do that. But all kidding aside, I remind everybody, that we as legislators, we don't hire nobody. Nobody at all. I would like to know, if Doug had mentioned, I think Doug, my colleague Doug mentioned favoritism. Can you show me any words where favoritism is shown? Can anybody here show me that or tell me
I
that?
thought there was a good article in the Times Union about a week ago, yeah.
The article in the Times Union said there was favoritism? Other than Times Union and the talk show wackos, is there any concrete evidence that our county government is playing favoritism? Any concrete evidence that the favoritism being done by our department? That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying it ain't being done, this is being done. Give me some names.
So we did. Let's not get personal here, please. Make that a private conversation.
Whatever, I don't care. Shoot yourself.
Mr.
Put that aside, my point is, we don't do the hiring. It's done by somebody else. If we make calls to somebody, we don't make phone calls, they make it higher, we not get hired. That's the way life is.
That's covered in the ethics law.
The biggest part is covered through the last couple of years. And I don't want to bring it up now, but it's being brought up, like my colleague from the host said, it had to do with one individual, and that's where it stemmed from. And now it took a life all by itself, through legislators, their families, their great-grandson getting jobs, sweeping park out, it's nonsense. And as long as they're qualified and it's fairness, that's all that counts. On the same token, our family members should be discriminated against because they carry our names. That's bad, and that's discrimination against our families. And what if your family member that hasn't spoken to you in years for whatever reason, he should be boycotted from getting a job in county, blackballed?
That has happened.
But it's terrible, it does, that's a shame. And that's why I'm opposed to stuff like this.
Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Chair. I will also be voting against this with reluctance, but I do want to say, first of all, that I have tremendous respect for Dave and for Allison, not just their intentions, not just them personally, but their intentions of doing this. Their intentions were absolutely honorable, and I absolutely support them that far on that. But I do find myself agreeing with much of what Bill said and much of what Sam said. And while Dave is right, it is a ridiculous arrogance to say that we as legislators can only fill certain jobs. The reality is we do have certain experience in government, we certain experience in things work that it could be uniquely suited to fill a commissioner role or a deputy role or some kind of role. That's Sam's point is well made. That's why.
I'm listening to this.
That's why so many, former state legislators end up in state government or congressional folks end up in federal government. I think that makes a lot of sense. Another concern I have with this is that it's incredibly broad. 4 years goes well beyond a budget that a former legislator would have voted on. To put that in perspective, I could step down from my state Senate job tomorrow, and 2 years from now, I could lobby for whatever nefarious private profiteer or for-profit company without a problem right in my office. This would be 4 years before a member of this body could even come before in government again, actually work in public service and ideally serve the taxpayers. It's incredibly broad, and I find that a little worrisome. I also am agreeing with Frank's point about the ethics law, and many of us were here for that. It was interminable. Poor Ryan Horsemeyer gave up his entire term to come up with that ethics law, and it was one of the best pieces of ethics law I think has been passed in any government in the country. And the reality is, the things that we may be concerned about here in terms of some of the things that may have motivated this legislation, I really think would be covered under the ethics law. They would be civil penalties under the ethics law. If it's a matter of tweaking the language of that ethics law so it more clearly covers these type of situations, or actually giving it a greater budget appropriation so that they can do proactive investigations, I think that's a conversation very much worth having. I think we should pursue that. But as this is, and with the existence of the ethics law that it is, I find this too broad.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. And I don't get to partake in these debates too much because I'm the air traffic controller up here. But I do want to tell you that we have one of the most stringent ethics laws in the state of New York. And we have a very strong board. A lot of what we're talking about tonight is covered in that ethics law. And I also want to say that I have a great deal of respect for the sponsors of this. It's very important that you know that. But I believe that we've already got it covered, not everything, but most of it in our ethics law. And most of the points brought up here are in our ethics law. And I also want to point out that our ethics law and our ethics commission has a website. And there's a lot of information on that website that you may not even be aware of, where you can research. And there's also a form on there for complaints, if you have complaints. And it shows who the board members are. They meet regularly. The minutes to the meeting are on the website. And they have taken action. And they've gone from everybody here files their financial disclosure forms. On that form, it asks if you have relatives in government, it asks if you have relatives that have real estate. There's a lot of questions on there that have to be answered by us, and they're reviewed by this ethics commission. So we ought to keep that in mind, and I would just suggest that everybody take a real good look at that website, because that is ours. We created it. It's very important that we know what's in it on a day-to-day basis. So, Mr. DeMoss, I think you go, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I I'd just like to point out a few things from my colleague, Mr. Mayor. And I can understand where it's coming from because I know where it's coming from. This goes back to Sean. I was on the finance committee back then when the position was talked about going in the budget. Now, as you know, we do the budget process. We get the budget from the county executive, and it goes to the finance committee for review. Never been made it that far. So, the controller withdrew it at that point. So they never even made it this far. And I would say that, and Dave said something about no-show jobs. These aren't no-show jobs. You got people up there cleaning the floors in a nursing home for $23,000 a year. And you don't got $120,000 deputy jobs that you get up in the state. These are all hard-working county employees who come to work every day to do their job. And just because of who their name is, you think they may get there? Let me tell you something. Some of these jobs there's nobody in this room will take, and some of these jobs we can't get people to fill. We still get them out of county when we did tonight, because you can't get nobody to do the job. So I would just think that, to me it's ridiculous. I've been in this game 35 years. As a Democratic committeeman, I probably got more jobs than I did as a county legislator. And those of us who've been in politics with committeemen, both sides of the aisle, no matter where you are, town of Colony, or town of Bethlehem, city of Albany, it's a fact. I must get 30 calls a year. Can you help my son get a job? Can you help my kid get a job? Can you help my daughter get a job? Use me as a reference. Absolutely. I know the family my whole life. This is Albany. I mean, but it's all out in the open. I don't hire anybody. And I just think that it's unfair. I think it is a bias towards the legislators and the family members. I'm not saying you go hire them just because we hire them. If that's the case, it'd be zero unemployment of the county. So, but it's unfortunate. But I just like the Times Union go back in 2009 in the public defender's office and see who's working there.
Mr.
There's some people in this office, in this legislature, who put legislation forward, and it's not true. So go back to 2009, look in the public defender's office, and tell me what names you recognize. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Krause, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public service is a dangerous game these days. It's hard to attract people to public service. So I think any law that we put forward that excludes potentially talented people is not the way we want to go. I understand where Mr. Mayo is coming from and where Mr. McLean Lane is coming from. No one wants cronyism in the public eye. But I would state that there has never been a time in history when the public has been more focused on their public servants. Everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a recorder. Everybody has a tweet or a blog or whatever it is. Everybody can say whatever they want all the time. Think about this for a minute. With family, you might have somebody in your family who wants to go into public service. What a wonderful thing. They don't want to go make money. They want to go into public service because mom or dad or Uncle Charlie or whoever is in public service. But we're going to discourage that because you know what? You have my last name. And by inference, that means something's not right. You're doing something wrong. Why do we want to send that kind of a message? Why do we want to send that kind of a message to young people? We can't be trusted, so we need to have a law to make sure that a county executive won't pull a member from the legislature who might have an incredible expertise in an area to do a job because it's not going to look right. So now we make decisions on what doesn't look right instead of what is. That's dangerous. We shouldn't be doing that. I think we can take another look at this law and perhaps craft it in such a way maybe to address some of the issues that Mr. Mayo and Mr. McLean and Ms. Lane are trying to address here. I think the current law we have on the books is a very good one. Perhaps all of us should take some time and read through it, because I'm sure we haven't read through it in a while. If anyone has ever read through it, except Mr. Horstmeyer.
I worked with him on it for a while too, and I'm not taking any credit away from Mr. Horstmeyer. He worked 4 years on it. I was the chair of personnel at the time, and it's a very, very stringent piece of legislation.
But I really don't think that being exclusionary is what we do as Americans. We are inclusionary. This is exclusionary based upon nothing other than you have common names or you worked in the legislature. I don't think that's the right way to approach this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Eager?
Yeah, just a couple of things. That until we got there, I was one of the last ones to sign on. That's only speaking to me. It was good. But put that aside. Stop and think the Albany County Nursing Home is always in need of nurses for whatever reason. They're not in demand or in demand or out of demand, whatever you want to call it. So right now, if we pass this, our daughters or our son couldn't get a job as a nurse in the Albany County Nursing Home when they need them with some bill like this. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Reinhardt?
Yeah, there's been a lot of good discussion with this issue, but I think that most of the discussion has missed the point, at least for me. That is, we could have a very good ethics law, but it has failed. Why has it failed? It has failed because the general perception out there is that it's an insider's game in Albany, just like it is in Rensselaer, just like it is in you pick the county, you pick the party that controls that county. The perception is there that this is an issue all across the political spectrum, all across the jurisdictions of New York. How do we address that perception? And I'm not the first one to say that politics is a lot about perception. I think we have to address the issue by doing something beyond the status quo. Is days measured the best? Is it perfect? No, I don't think it's perfect. But I think it makes a good point. I think if we need to change it a little bit, fine. But I think we clearly have an issue. I have to say, I had an interaction in an email with a constituent who cited a specific example. And I said I wasn't going to cite the specific example. But then she responded by saying, okay, don't cite the specific example, but you can talk about it if you want a little bit. However, let me just say, my neighbor also says this. So it's like, okay, one person in Bethlehem cites an example to me and then says, and my neighbor has another one. Well, folks, we got a problem here. The general perception is that it's an insider's game, and I think we need to address it. I think we should either pass it the way it is or pass it with modification. I think exempting the civil service is a good idea. Having been in the civil service and seeing how that works, I don't think there's as much of an issue for abuse there. But I think we need to do something. And I think if we don't act, the perception there will be, aha, same old Albany. So I'm going to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Camiso.
I take exception to charging after the members of the Ethics Commission. They're fine individuals, and I don't think that if you were to do a poll and mention their names in Albany County, you would get the results that you say you hear, because you're totally wrong.
You are totally wrong, sir. I did not say that.
You did say that.
No, I did not. I have a constituent, in fact, who has been involved in that ethics commission, and when I knocked on her door, she explained to me how good a group it is. I did not disagree with that assessment on her part. What I said was, we have a perception issue about Albany and Rensselaer County and other counties in New York being insider games where it's the connections that allow you to get the jobs. And so I think we should deal with that perception.
That is not what you said.
Mr. Reinhardt, I took that as inference toward the Ethics Commission as well, so I'm glad you clarified.
Well, I profusely apologize to the members of the Ethics Commission. That is not what I said, that is not what I meant, and clearly perception is an issue, isn't it? Because I was misperceived. And I think the important thing here is we have to address the public concerns about this issue. And we can, none of us with a straight face say, the public does not have a concern about this issue. I don't believe it.
I think it's our job as leaders, when we're talking about our Ethics Commission, to give the perception that we have a good, strong Ethics Commission made up of 2 Supreme Court justices, retired, from both parties, 1 from each party, made up of the attorney from JACO, made up of the pastor, or former pastor of St. Mary's Church, and equal representation of Republicans and Democrats. Very strong commission, and I think it's up to us to let our constituents know that. That's what leadership is.
We should do that, I agree.
Thank you.
Call the question?
Yes, sir?
Can we vote?
I vote to vote. Are we ready to vote? Again? The rules do state you only get 1 time. We're being very generous today.
I got squatters' rights.
You are. I'm giving you 1 time for every 10 years you've been there.
The perception that's out there generally comes from the people who wanted that job and didn't get it. And I believe that 90% of the vast majority of people in this state don't even think about this kind of thing. The only ones that think about it are the ones looking for the jobs themselves. They don't get it, they blame it on the legislator, or the councilman, or the mayor's relatives, whatever. Most people go to work to their jobs every day are not thinking about this. They're thinking about how we're wasting and spending their tax money. Not a job we give to somebody that does, a job that's needed.
Thank you. Mr. Grimm, did you have...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You've been patient, I know that.
Oh, I'm taking it all in.
Been chomping at the bit to get up
No,
there.
thank you. No, and I was quoting the paper that I think there's some holes in the bill. But what I'm hearing tonight, I'm a little concerned that we don't have a problem. Anyone who read the TU investigative report and doesn't think we have a problem, that concerns me, because it was embarrassing. And it was a wake-up call for this legislative body to do something about it. Now, great, we have an ethics commission, good people on it, but something's not working. Something's not working. And that TU investigative series identified that. And what was extra frustrating to me, I'm a county legislator who does as much homework as anybody. And I wasn't aware of all these appointments. So at the very least, we have to insist on transparency. So when a relative of a county official is appointed to something, that we're aware of it, and then we can make judgments. It is not a qualification to be related to an elected official. But it shouldn't be a disqualification too. So one of the issues I have, of course, is this blanket prohibition about everybody. And I don't think it's discrimination because, you know, if somebody gets a job because he knows somebody, that discriminates against everybody else who didn't have an opportunity to get that job. And a lot of those folks are my constituents. So I think we really have to do something, whether we do it tonight or we amend Mr. Mayo, and I appreciate, by the way, the co-sponsors' efforts in this matter. We need to do something about the current circumstances. When an elected official places a relative in an agency, and that agency comes before these elected officials for financing, that's an inherent conflict. Doesn't mean they made a deal or there's something sneaky going on, but those are the kinds of things we need to address. And I think that's something we need.
That issue would also be covered by the ethics law.
Well, it's not working then. Chairman, it's not working.
There's a complaint form on the website.
Well, because we have, I guess my point is we have a problem in our current situation, our current circumstances with the Ethics Commission is not adequately handling that problem, and it has nothing to do with the integrity of the Ethics Commission. Because we have a problem, we need to address it.
Mr. Grimm, you're one of the very few legislators I see participate in those meetings. I've seen them.
Oh yeah, no, I think I do my homework, and I'm concerned that we're not recognizing the problem tonight.
Do you have any issue with the dealings of the Ethics Commission? I mean, they're pretty serious.
Yeah, no, I think my point is that we need to address the issue, and whether it's to get the Ethics Commission more involved or to do some legislation that's going to prevent these kind of issues, then that's what we ought to do. Because I'm hearing some folks say tonight we don't have a problem, and I totally disagree with that. Now, on the flip side is, if you're a private citizen, should you be barred from public employment? I don't believe that. Maybe it should be for a year, because I am a little concerned that legislators can vote on the next year's budget and then be hired in that next year budget. That's obviously a conflict too. but I'm not for the 4-year prohibition. So I'm not really sure I'm going to vote tonight because this bill is not what I really would want. But I really am stressing the idea that we have a problem and we need to address it. And if we don't, our credibility is going to be lessened with the citizens of Albany County.
Thank you. Unfairness, Mr. Simpson asked for a vote, made a motion. I did let the two speakers that had their hands up after speak. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, he had mentioned something that I think is very important. I don't know over your head because I wasn't. He's implying, is I misunderstanding, that there's legislators putting stuff in the budget for themselves or their family members?
I'm saying we have a problem that we have to recognize.
Is that going on? I'd like to know if everybody's doing that. That's something you as chairman should do.
That would be an ethics commission.
Well, what we gotta do, if we gotta
I think I've said that before.
we're, number one, you jump all you want, but we're being accused.
I'm not joking.
Well, that's it, I'll talk all day.
I'm very serious.
Let me tell you something, we're being accused as legislators of putting line items, I think that's what he's saying, to create jobs for people. I have never even heard anybody doing that in our legislation. If any of you guys did that, please come forward. Then why is that out there? I never heard that before. Never. We're creating jobs and we're putting it in a budget. Come on, I think we're going too far with all this stuff.
Mr. Mayo, one more response, or I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I like Mr. Grimm's idea and thinking about it. I was more concerned about legislators voting for themselves, for their family members. Maybe the 1 year, if people are interested in that at all. If not, we'll just take a straight up or down vote on this. But if you want to do an amendment for 1 year instead of 4.
Well, that would be, I think that would require another public hearing, I believe.
I don't want to do that.
I believe.
And I just would like to say, though, I do respect everyone here. Nothing is ever personal.
I understand that. We respect
I'm
that.
probably the least political person in this room, honestly. I think everybody knows that. This has been here going for 1.5 years. And I hear people say they don't like the way it's worded, we should do this, that. There's 1.5 years to put amendments in. I haven't heard a word from anybody, no one. No one approached me and said, can we do this, can we do that, can it be inclusive, exclusive, nothing. And I just want to go down the list here. What Mr. Canisso said, he doesn't know if it's constitutional. This went to the county attorney, I assume it's constitutional. Maybe not, maybe we have to go to.
Well, that's an opinion, it's constitutional.
But Mr. Signoraci, he said it's innuendo, and there was only one person involved. Mr. Demalowitz, I think, cleared that up. It was more than innuendo. There was more than one person involved as far as jobs coming off that budget in 2016. And with this question with the husband and wife, you know, the election law is very strange. I don't know how many people do it in here. I can't answer that for you, Ralph.
I'm just saying there's rumor and innuendo about a lot of things, Dave. And I know that it was all rumor and innuendo about my predecessor, whose seat I sit in, not his chair seat, but in his legislative seat.
It was
on his job that he was going to go to work here. And quite to be honest with you, the job that was going to go in the controller's office was actually supposed to be a job for myself, not for Mr. Morris. That's how everything got legged. So when everybody started to work, that's how.
I was in caucus, and I disagree with that 100%. I think that Mr. Morris actually did a Trump. He actually shot himself in the foot, to be honest. So, I mean, he said some things.
Let's keep the personal out.
I did, we got elected. With respect to Mr. Ethier looking for favoritism, one comes to mind immediately with Mr. McCoy. We had someone who
Can we please get away from that? Stick on issues instead of personnel.
The issue is favoritism.
Yes.
The issue is favoritism.
Yes.
Somebody finished 75th on a civil service test and got a job. I was involved. I was a negotiator for civil service for many years. I've never seen anything like that happen. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, and 72 people ahead of you.
Is that in the county?
Yes.
No.
City.
Not Portland.
All right, I thought it was a county. Sorry. Okay, and one other thing I would like to address, Mr. Demalowitz said, he said, look at 2009. And I have a son who worked for the public defender for, I don't know, 6 months maybe, which I had nothing to do with. I'll be frank with you.
I didn't say you did.
Okay.
I'm just saying, he's
Peter
your
Torn-
son, you work for the
I think I
county.
have the floor, thanks. My son, I got a call from Pete Torricello, who's a childhood friend of mine.
Me too.
Yes, and his office manager was leaving. He called me and asked if I had a son or two. He knew I did. They were close to finishing college, if they would be interested in being an office manager. I gave, my involvement in that was I gave him my son's cell phone number. My son ended up working there for 6 months. He never needed daddy's help. He went on to University of Michigan Law School. He's a top 10 law school. He could have gone all over the country, probably starting at $200,000 a year. He came back to Albany. He represents people at CPC, the mentally ill, people that are incarcerated. I'm very proud. He's a smart kid. He could have made money. He didn't. He comes back here. He's in the Albany area helping people out. So I just want to go on record saying thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to vote
I
on
have to
this.
say one thing, and I haven't said anything all night, and I'm the one who wrote the affirmative action law in 1993. We have been in total non-compliance of that law since it was written. That has to do with recruitment and hiring of people in the protected class in my county. You haven't spoken about that at all tonight. Mrs. Burlingame was very upset just hearing all this talk tonight and never even addressed that audience of people. Then you spoke about just all white people in Albany County's employment. You've seen the numbers, you know. This is a good lesson for our Commissioner of Human Resources here tonight with our new hired affirmative action officers. We have to be compliant in all these positions in our county. You talk about jobs at the nursing home. How come they don't seek out some people in the protected class?
Lucy, you want to take a walk around that nursing home.
I'm
Because that's the
saying-
one place we have more people working in
But we
protected
shouldn't
class
even
than
have
the whole
more,
county.
and we shouldn't have them all there. We should have them throughout every department in this government. You and I work on personnel.
well, one
We
thing-
know who we interview.
Absolutely.
And we know who are excluded or who are exempted, and we know who goes in the special exempted classes. I'm gonna vote against this law tonight because we have a lot of work to do, and I guess Mr. Rell and Ms. Clement, you got some good tools tonight and some good information. Take back to your office and sit down with our Civil Service Commissioner, and you speak about this unfair hiring in Albany County government. And it's been here since day one, and it looks like it's gonna continue for a while longer. But I want us to get to the vote, and I'm gonna vote no on this resolution.
Thank you. We're going to vote right now. Roll call, please.
Beston. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Chapman. Cunningham.
No. Excuse me. Yeah, Bill Clay.
Clay, I'm sorry, Clay.
That's all right, I'm used to being over.
Cunningham. Camiso.
No.
Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demonowitz.
No.
Drake.
No.
Duncan.
No.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
No.
Fine.
No.
Graham.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Hogan.
No.
A. Joyce.
No.
R. Joyce.
No.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Mariello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
Yes.
Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Signarachi.
No.
Simpson.
No.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
No.
$25.
25. Yes. 13 no.
13 yes.
We'll take it. Terry, like a tiger.
Roll call, please. We have a motion to adjourn, second.
Yes,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion